Let's talk about this 2000 Trans Am with only like 59,000 miles that came in for some tuning. Let's talk about the tune that's in it. Let's talk about what we did. This customer had a couple of complaints. Number one, the car was just gassy at idle, just unbearable. And number two, it would die at stop signs and stuff. So we've got to road test the car and make sure all of that's taken care of, but I have a strong indication that it probably is. Let me show you 2 data logs and I will explain all of that. So here's the log as it came in, and you can see we are both rich on EQ, and that's a really high mass airflow for a cam only car. Let's go back to the pull. We're lean on wide open throttle, and we don't quite have the timing, but also we're smacking into a rev limiter at 6,200 RPM. When we come over here and we go to the last file that I made, we're turning about 6,700 RPM later, and we're hitting a max of 28 degrees of timing. We're targeting around 0.84, 0.85 lambda. Now, when we come to an idle, you'll see we're right around where it's supposed to be now. And the big difference really came down to 2 things. One is the minimum fuel under transient wasn't dropped with the aftermarket injectors, which are not a great injector and we don't have great data for, but I was still able to clean them up. And then our injection timing boundaries, moving those helps get rid of a lot of the gas smell. When we did all of this, we added some timing, we got the fueling right, we got the injectors better. What was that worth? Well, it was worth horsepower. So here is our best pull versus the stock pull in this purple pink line, whatever you want to call it. Now, this does not have a locked converter, right? So this number, you can see our converter slip is about 2.3%. And that's all the way over here. Down here it's worse because we're at 6,200 at the engine and 5,774 axle speed. Basically, the converter's slipping about 500 RPM at that point. But you can see at 6,200, this is still climbing. And yeah, 6,036 is showing a peak, which is over here. But in all effect, this is still climbing and it wants to go higher. And we hit a rev limiter. Now, with a little more timing and cleaning the fuel up, and we pick up some bottom end and whatever else. But also notice that this peak is out at 6,300 RPM, but it doesn't start to appreciably fall off at 6,600 engine RPM. So we're still making power, and in fact, when we go to the drag test, you can actually see this as well, because when we're over here, this is like 6,600 RPM, and it's still basically climbing. So to shift this car at 6,000 RPM with a 6,200 RPM rev limiter was really holding it back. So we took care of the gassy smell. We've got the power band where it needs to be. We've unlocked some horsepower, but we did have one other problem. So we have not been able to, it felt great on the dyno, but we haven't been able to street test it to make sure that the dying coming to a stop is fully taken care of, because the tensioner was having it come apart and the belt was about to fly off. So you can see the amount of belt slip we've had on this thing. This tensioner was starting to separate, but a new one won't be here until tomorrow, and we will test it at that point. But I will also show you guys how far apart these numbers are. That after cleanup, we're 1.718 on the mass airflow, but on the original file, when this thing came to a stop, we're at 2.2. So very large difference in mass airflow readings, just cleaning everything up. So this car should run significantly better at this point. I did advise him a set of injectors with good data would not be a bad idea. It's not a requirement. And also, getting rid of the gears in this thing, coming this week. But 273s in a performance car, yeah, you put a set of 373s in here, this is a completely different car.